Hey, wanted to make this quick video. Today I did a lot of crying. So today is we got here Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Today is Monday, so we've been here for like 3 days. And when we left, I was like, man, I can imagine when I get off the plane. Here we've been in Rwanda, in case you haven't been following. Um, and I was thinking, when I get off that plane, like I can imagine, like there's gonna be this great burden lifted, and when I got off the plane, like you know, it wasn't nothing. Like I was in disbelief. Like I feel like I was in shock. I didn't feel anything. Like I was just going with the flow, like just moving with the motion. And that went on for like the three, up until today, right? And which is why I'm making this video. And so today took the kids out and we took a cab and we went to take care of some things in like the Romero area and met some people. And I was at a HR company that I'm working with to hire an executive assistant. And I was talking to the lady there, and she was talking about like the difference between the West and here, and how she would never leave, she would never go there, she would never leave here. And I started explaining to her like what I've experienced. She said she had never been to America, but she had been to Europe, and like that was enough for her to know that she didn't belong there. And so I was explaining to her like how it is in America, and I began to cry, and I've been like crying ever since. Oh Lord, I'll cry again. So um and I began to cry. And the reason why I was crying is because I'm explaining that when we over the week because we got here on a Friday night, like so many things went wrong. We didn't have our money exchanged, and so like we couldn't, we had like a limited amount of stuff that we could pay for with USD. Um, and then everything here is like app based and phone and cell phone based, and we didn't have a local cell phone number, and so we couldn't do a lot of the stuff that you could do around here with the apps. So like ordering food, there's something called Momo, which is mobile money, and you can use that to like pay for just about anything, and you have to use it to pay for certain things like utilities. Um, and we couldn't do it because we didn't have a cell phone. My US cell phone, like it basically was not functional. It stopped working. So we didn't have a phone. My husband still had some access on his cell phone, but it was limited. Verizon was like acting like they didn't know how to fix the problem, so it was a lot. The internet, we got here and there was no internet. My daughter nearly lost her mind. She's 17, so she's like, no. The internet hadn't been connected yet. They started connecting it today, but and so like all these things are going wrong, but it took me until today to even realize that they went wrong. And the reason is because every time something happened, um, my sisters and brothers here in Rwandans, and also an American couple and an American guy that's been helping me. Um, they like they came to the rescue and they fixed it like immediately. And in some cases, like the Rwandese had to like pay to fix it out of their pocket, and they did because we didn't have access to what it takes to pay, so they just paid for it and made sure that it was resolved quickly, very quickly. And so it was like none of this was like a big deal. So all these things happened, and it was like, okay. I just would call somebody, call my friend who is a native of Rwanda, and she started making phone calls, and she fixed it, and she fixed it, and she fixed it. And so I was explaining to the lady that I was talking to at the HR company, the difference. If in America my lights have been turned off for whatever reason, it would almost be out of my control as to how long it's going to be before it come back on. And so when somebody tells me that here in Africa, you're like your power can turn off, like I'm freaking out because I'm like, okay, no, like I'm gonna be without power. But what I want you to understand, and the reason why I'm making this video is because the difference is when you're in America and something like that happens, it can be a crisis. It really can, because you can go a day, 2 days, 3 days, if it's a weekend, 4 or 5 days without utilities if you allow that to happen. Over here, it's not like that. Everything is prepaid. And so if your power gets cut off because it ran out of funds or whatever, it's kind of like a prepaid cell phone. All you got to do is open up this app and put more money, and then it's gonna come like right back on, like immediately. It's digital. It's not like a man in America. Somebody got to come out and do this and set this and turn this off and do that. It's not like that over here. And so that issue of, okay, the power went out because you didn't pay your bill. Now here they don't have like just rolling power outages or anything like that. So that's not why the power went out. It went out because the budget that the owner of the house, we're renting, so the budget that the owner of the house had put for the utility, for the electricity, it ran out while we were here, and we didn't have a way to replenish it. But it came, a point is, like, within 2 minutes of the man finding out that it happened, it was fixed. And I don't speak Kinyarwanda, right? And I have people helping me who don't speak Kinyarwanda, but still who don't speak English, and still they figured it out. They figured it out. And they fixed it. And the lady that helps me the most, her name is Divine, beautiful sister. I love that lady. And she, if I call her and tell her like anything is happening, or anything's going wrong, or I need anything, like she'll start making calls and she'll do the communicating for me. And make sure that we're good, that we're taken care of. And so, like, there are some things, like, in America, if your lights turn off, like, there's not people, like, running to your rescue to make sure that it gets turned back on as soon as possible. Like, that doesn't happen. Okay? Everybody worrying about their own light bill and their own issues and whatever else. And people don't really have time to be worried about you. And that's my experience. It may not be everybody's experience, but that's my experience. And it's kind of like when you out, you out. When you down, you down. When things go wrong, they wrong. And it's all on you. We have a very individualistic culture in America, but here in Rwanda is very community oriented. And so that makes like a huge difference. Like, I did not even realize what it is, what it is to have a community until now. To have people who support you, and they don't have to know you. They don't have to be your sister, or your brother, or your mama, or your daddy, your aunt, your uncle. They could be total strangers, and they will support you. And that is beautiful, beautiful. So first ever experience. But the point of this video is to say this: like, when we think about going to a new place, we think of it in context of our experience in America. And so you have to be very careful and self-aware. Understand that your experience in America is totally different and separate from the experience that you're going to have in another country. And that can be both good and bad, right? And so, like, where somebody tell you, oh, well, this happens there that don't happen in America. There can be some caveats, like the electricity. Yes, you prepay your electricity, and your power can turn off if you don't replenish it. But what you don't understand is that, unlike in America, it turns back on in seconds. It's like instantaneous. In America, you have to wait, day at least hours, but sometimes days to get your stuff turned back on. And that is if you could even afford it. And so utilities here are also cheap. So you don't need to, our $400 light bill in America can pay for utilities for years here. And so it's not even like you need to put a whole bunch of money, like if you have $1, you can put $1 and you can have utilities until you get another $1, right? And so it's very, very different. And we need to understand that. So don't let fear, stop you from exploring, especially the motherland, but really exploring the world. Because doing putting everything in context of our American experience is gonna just really, it's a shortcoming. Like, um, it's gonna take away from your life experience, right? Because what we experience in America is not all there is. It's not all there is, and it's not even like many other places. Like the West is very different from other places in the world. Um, and so stop putting stuff in context of your American experience, because it's not doing you any good. It's only harming you. All right. And people, when you think, oh well, I have this in America and I won't have that there, or you need to know the full story, right? You need to know the full context, because there are a lot of benefits of not doing things the American way, and that is what I'm learning. There are a lot of benefits of not doing things like Americans. Um, Example, like the food, a big thing for people, like, oh, the food's gonna be different. I'm not gonna be able to have this or access that or whatever. But the thing about here where I am, at least, is that the food is healthier. It's better, right? And so, yeah, I don't have a Burger King, but do I really want a Burger King, right? So you have to think. We have to start thinking outside of the box. There's delicious food here. There are restaurants here. They 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 prepare food to serve it, like, right. So they're cooking your food for you, like if you were at your house. When you go in order, so it might take a little bit longer than like go driving through a drive-through, but not really much longer than going sit and dine in at a restaurant. Um, but then you're eating real food, right? And you're not wondering, what is this meat really made of? And so there are some benefits. So you need to really understand the full context of something. Don't let like one thing somebody said, like, deter you um, from investigating for yourself and finding out, what does that really mean for me, and do I even really care about this, right? Do I want to be surrounded by fast food restaurants that I'm always tempted to eat at, that just make me fat, right? Or make me have heart disease or whatever? Like, is this really what I want? Um, and so it really boils down to understand, to starting to learn, yourself, who you are, what you really want, and take yourself out of the constraints of American culture and what you currently have. Um, because the goal is not always to keep doing what you've been doing. And if you're looking at other countries to begin with, then apparently what you've been doing is not working. Something is telling you that you need to do something different. And so don't be afraid of different. Don't be afraid of different. As a matter of fact, run towards different. And that's my message for today. Run towards different.